So this is a high school memory. So I'm driving with my buddy Brad. It's his car. And we go to a stop and we're just right there. And next to us is just four black dudes and they're blaring their rap music pretty loud. And it's just, you got like the heavy bass. You can hear the car shake and everything. And we look over there, just bobbing to the music, and they look at us. And then Brad does a funny thing. Brad goes, "Oh yeah," and then he turns up his music, his sound to max. He doesn't have a radio; it's broken. So all we get is static. And what Brad does, he starts going, "Yeah, yeah," like he's rocking out to the music. And they just look at us. I'm like, I got no idea. And I just remember that instance. It's just that cracks me up that Brad did that. Real quick, one more with Brad in his car. This is high school. One time we filled the vehicle up with all of us, me and all my friends. There were about 8 of us, and you got like 3 in the front, 4 in the back. Like we're trying to fill it up, and one of us was in the trunk, and yeah, one of us was in the trunk, and we hit a dip, like one of the ones, like we hit it like really fast, one of the dips, and we just flew up, and Brad just freaks out and lets go of the wheel. It's like. We're midair and he lets go of the wheel, like, that's not gonna help at all. And then we land, and dude in the back, his name's Casey, you just hear dunk dunk. It's like, oh shit. We don't pull over and check if he's okay until we get to our destination 5 minutes later for some weird reason. So there, 2 funny stories from high school. Welcome friends, LostScarf here, and it's time for the vlog. First up, I want to mention, I need Jinx with the link in the description. There's a moment on Twitter. And it's a story of the big Cakey Adventure, which has to do with Kirby with a Kirby bot. And it's an amazing, amazing choose your adventure that happened yesterday that people voted on. It goes places, it's amazing. Check that out. Now, this vlog is going to come out just before, so if you see this right at the start, just before we're going to do anime night tonight for My Hero Academia. It's going to be the dub. It'll be on Rabbit. We're going to watch episodes 1 through 7. Because episode 6 is a cliffhanger, so 1 through 7, and then next Saturday will be episodes 8 through 13. That way, there's no cliffhangers besides, the season finale. That's because My Hero Academia Season 3 is here, but we're not going to do Season 2 right away. After Season 1, we'll probably go back doing Jackbox for a while, and then we'll do anime night again, anime night. We'll do anime night again. So that's what's going to happen. Sunday night, still doing the hardcores. This week should be the Doom hardcores, which were pretty fun. And this Sunday, I'm going to probably do Dark Souls 2 and 3 if I die early on 2. And or I want to do Terraria hardcore. Honestly, maybe I want to go back to Terraria hardcore before I do hardcore Dark Souls 2. I'm going to debate that today, and then I'll decide tomorrow. But, I'm enjoying the hardcore series a lot. That's kind of important. It's about having fun. As always, that is the crux at the end of the day. And yeah, if we're having fun, then everyone's having fun. At least I hope so. It's going to be more entertaining if I'm having fun. If I'm just really glum, obviously it's not going to be that fun to watch. So if I'm enjoying myself, hopefully you'll enjoy yourself. That should be the point after all. That's just a different way of doing the same thing. Podcasts are coming back soon. I should be talking with Steve from Checkpoint next week, and then just trying to get other people. I'm going to try to get the Cuphead composer. I really want to get a hold of him. We're gonna get sound effect artist. I'm gonna try to get other people from Cuphead. I'm gonna try to get the artist from Hannity. These are people I'm gonna try to get. No guarantees I'm gonna get any of these. I could fail miserably on everyone I'm gonna try to get, but I'm gonna try to get them. I'm gonna try to get Jaggers in the future. Like regulars, I'm gonna try to get them as well. There's a lot of things I have kicking around that I want to do, and we'll see how we get or what we get going down the line, and hopefully we get what we want because. I really enjoyed the podcast. We're going to just keep doing it, of course. And think of the people we've talked to. The people I never would have talked to if I didn't do the podcast. It's pretty interesting, pretty fun. So I'm excited to just keep trying. I'm not always going to get a yes. Sometimes I get ignored. But it's a fun thing to do, and we're going to keep doing it. And, yeah. There's actually another idea I want to do in the future for podcast, but that's going to be in the summer. So won't mention that until then. But it's obvious what it has to do. So... that's channel stuff. Streams are what they are. I am definitely getting burnt out on indies a little bit, which is not good because we've been doing it for so many years, but I'm getting burnt out on them, so we'll see how that goes. There's a rapid fire I need to do. I have 4 games ready for it. I just need to sit down and do it, but I've just been so procrastinating on it. That's not good. And there's no excuse for it. It's really, I've just been procrastinating. And this leads into kind of the topic. Now, oh, real quick before that, politics really quick. Holy crap on Sean Hannity being Cohen's third client. That is kind of crazy. But not just that, it's that Sean Hannity's excuses. Oh, we just talked real estate. Why would you talk to a fixer about real estate? That's weird, and that's not helping him at all. The thing is, he's the big name. He's the big name for Fox, like Bill O'Reilly was. But even Bill O'Reilly wasn't completely bulletproof. But because of how far the bar has gone with Trump, it's possible that Sean Hannity is also invincible as well. So who knows? Unless some legal stuff does happen to him, who knows with that one. But real quick on that, the things just touching on last time with relativism and all that stuff. A couple things I want to talk about then, but I forgot about. It's just the insanity of it when you create an enemy so much so, this enemy that you hate so much that you attribute everything to them. When the serious strikes happened, you had Alex Jones who was disappointed in Trump for doing the attack, but he blamed the Democrats. He's like, they got the war they wanted. What do the Democrats have to do with anything? You have a Republican president, Republican Senate and House, and they got the 5th to get the edge on the the Supreme Court, to get the edge on the Supreme Court 5-4. They got that. They stole that from Obama to have another freaking Supreme Court. So Republicans have the major majority. You can't blame Democrats on anything besides them trying to hold things back. But since they don't have enough of a majority for anything, really the Senate and the House are allowed to do a lot of what they want to do. There are some things where they need to negotiate, but for the majority of things, they don't. Until the midterm elections when we see what happens there, but you can't blame the Democrats for anything unless you're a Democrat and you wish they fought harder. That's it. A Republican can't really blame a Democrat for much. Like, not at all. And so it's really weird to have Alex Jones be at the Democrats when this is something that people from the right did. It's very weird. And you see people who parrot him do the same thing. It is an odd thing to hate something that you can't possibly attribute something to, and yet you do. It's weird. And that has to do with echo chambers and relativism and all those things, because the moral belief in that the other side's the enemy to the point that something like that is so I don't know. It's scary and weird how popular the extremes are. It really is. It's not just the right. It's not just Alex Jones and InfoWars and Breitbart and all that stuff on the extreme right that's very popular. There's also things on the left, which I don't have examples of, because everyone talks about the right side more than the left side, unfortunately. But I'm sure the right knows what these left things are. I don't know. I just see really insane things sometimes from the left side that makes me go, what the fudge? And, it's probably because my area of things notices the right more than the left. But I know there's plenty of insane people on the left. I just don't know them as well as I know the things on the right. And that's what happens, is one side being able to look better at the other, but they can't see behind them as well. I think that's the way to put it. Now, the reason why it's not necessarily relativism, but it's what's on my mind, and I've been trying to understand why we're so stupid, I suppose. Trying to make sense of the world and who we are and what we are and all these things is not an easy thing to do, of course. And this is just me trying to figure it out and me trying to understand it. And the thing is that everything's insane, and there's just so many people out there, so many opinions, so many thoughts, so many maturity levels, so much ignorance, so much knowledge, maybe hubris, pride, all these things. There's a lot of things. It's the internet. There's billions of people connected. What is the right road to go? I think the reason why I see relativism so much is because there's so many relatives. Everyone's in their bubbles and they're being relative to each other, but everyone thinks they have the absolute truth. I said that last week. And but how else could you think this is the absolute truth? Because this is the only truth that you know. This is the only right that you know. Of course you think that. And I think there's two mindsets going on. They're in conflict. The mindset of you should take the time to understand other people's opinions and ideas so that you can get a better background for yourself and understanding, and so you just have more knowledge going forward, because this is what debates are supposed to be. The real truth of debates, not the lot of bullcrap that debates have become. A debate is supposed to be two conflicting ideas, trying to convince each other, poking holes in each other, and at the end of the day, both become stronger. or one wins out over the other because one's actually a pretty good argument over the other, and the other one's actually not as good or more baseless. That's what a debate is supposed to be. And it has changed in multiple ways. One is it's a battle to be the winner, which that's not what a debate necessarily is supposed to be. It's supposed to be an exchange of ideas, improving ideas, and that's not what's happening. Very unfortunately, not what's happening at all. And that's because I think Twitter's partially to blame for this for damn sure, because of the short character count. It's better to be snarky and funny than it is to have just a good idea, because a good idea requires a lot more characters than what the original tweet, 140 original tweet count was. And that's partially the problem right there, is we got more short-minded in our thought process, because it's easier to be soundbitey because you had to be, than to have a comprehensive thought. And then trying to counter that with longer characters, but even so, it's not going to be that perfect. That's why you have people do long threads. That's why you had me do long threads back in the day. I haven't done them as much now because I'm like, I just haven't. I think I've been using the vlogs more to get my thoughts out than to just do long tweets. Also because I'm working, I don't have the time to do long tweets as much as I used to. So there's the mindset of we should be trying to grow. We should be trying to grow through debates and things like that. Because debates, I freaking hate what debates are now. Like, there's that trying to be the winner and one-upsmanship and all that stuff. But there's also the academic debates that schools do. Real quick, just if you don't know this. Debates now are stupid. They are absolutely stupid. Because debates now are just people rattling off as much information as they can as quickly as they can. They say, this fact, this fact, this fact. They just say a lot of bullshit. They say a lot of bullshit, a lot of things very quickly in whatever span of time. And the other person does it really quick. And it's about just how much you can get in for your side for the debate points. Now, I know one or two reviewers might actually be in debate club or something like that, so they can explain this better in the comments. But when I was at community college for one of my water classes, they had a tournament or whatever, and I was being told this is how it works. And I'm like, that is stupid. That is absolutely stupid, because what is even what is the point? When you streamline the concept of ideas, when you streamline something like that into a sport, you lose what it's supposed to be. You lose the meaning behind it. And that is, I can only say it's stupid. Maybe someone's really serious and really enjoys debate that way. I find it absolutely ridiculous. Because you're not gonna, there's no real exchange of thoughts or ideas if that's how you're doing it. Because it's just both sides ramming each other. Two rushing waves hitting each other. And that's all it is. And it's just a freaking mess everywhere. Like, what even is that? So, that form of debate really annoys me. But these are two different things about debate. Like, that's what academic debate is, and it's stupid. And here's what we've made debate into, and it's stupid. That's how I feel. We're not trying to exchange ideas. You still have people trying to exchange ideas. We also have people trying to win. The people who are trying to win, they're wrong, and they're not actually doing debate. And that's the frustrating thing, is most people are trying to win. Every time I see some conversation, it's people trying to win. They're not trying to exchange ideas. They're not trying to grow. And that actually just makes conversation worthless in a lot of ways. And that's what leads to another thing. That is, I'm talking about the background. So the opposite, and that is, it's okay to mute people. It's okay to block people. It's okay to do whatever to take care of yourself. And this is true. It is okay to do that stuff. But my other problem with that is, by being okay with people being insular, people become insular. The bubbles become smaller. The bubbles become tighter. And the truth of the matter is, yeah, there's people who just cannot deal with other people. There's just people who cannot have a debate, who cannot converse, who cannot argue with other people. I was dating a girl who was very scared of conflict, of arguments. She was completely scared of it. Like, if there was even a hint of it, she shied away from it as quickly as she could. It just scared her, because she felt like a real couple never argues. And those of you who are married know damn well that's not how it works, ever. It's about resolution of conflict when they do come up, but doing it, like conflict, you do it well. You don't do it stupidly. But that's partially a maturity thing and an ignorance. Like, not necessarily ignorance, but understanding the human condition and how things work out. It's okay to have arguments. It's okay to fight. It's how you resolve that situation or how you deal with that. That's what's important, because life is full of conflict, and it's how you deal with conflict. That's what's important. And people who shy away from it or don't want to deal with it, it also depends on how much the volume there is as well. Another thing to talk about, of course, is thin skin, thick skin. You have a popular YouTuber or whatever, and then they flip out. Like, someone makes a comment at them, and they flip out at them. And like, oh, wow, so thin-skinned. It's not that. It is that you are probably the 10th, 1000th, or whatever. You are not the first one to say something to annoy this person. That's how it is. You are never the first one to say it. You are not the first one to tell the Emperor that he's not wearing any clothes. It's never that. You're never the first one to point out the flaw in someone's argument, the flaw in someone's gameplay or something. Whatever the popular YouTuber or streamer is about, you're not the first one to point out a mistake they're making. Of course, a lot of people are surrounded by yes men as well, but they're also surrounded by, especially in the age of internet, a lot of haters and a lot of people who are just pointing out things that are annoying. And there's, of course, the mantra of haters gonna hate and all that stuff. But when you have haters gonna hate, you start not actually noticing real criticism. The thing is, I guess it's everything I talk about is a push towards trying to find a balance. And that's, trying to find a balance in life and in everything is probably one of the most important pursuits we have if we're willing to go after that pursuit. But I feel like a lot of us don't actually seek balance. We seek security. We seek just not even being on the balance at all. Just being, the balance is off. We're just on this side where we're like, pen. Okay, so we're like this. We're like a pen, right? Balancing a pen. And we're either more on one side or the other, but we prefer to the point where we're just this way. We've just fallen over and there's no moving the balance anymore because now nothing's happening. There's no more conflict. There's no more movement. You don't have to worry about anything. I feel like a lot of us really tend towards that. And a part of that is the excuses we make for who we are. I'm jumping to a lot of concepts here. And a lot of them could be dived deeper, but I feel like the overall idea is kind of important. And that is the excuses we make. The excuses we make for why we procrastinate, or why we do something bad, or why we do something that we know is not good, but we justify it to ourselves. It's partially like a double standard we do. Where someone else does it, they're a piece of crap, but when we do it, it's okay, because we have excuses. Because we know what we're doing, we don't know why they did it, but we know why we did it, and that's why we can justify it. And so, these are the excuses we make. Like the best example, I can't remember if I did this last week or I just talked about this in my head. And that is driving. You get cut off, they're a piece of crap. You cut someone off, you have excuses for why you cut them off. You didn't see the light, you didn't see the situation, you didn't notice them, or you need to get out of that lane because that's not where you wanted to be. You have all these excuses. You understand why you did what you did. Those are excuses. And it's a question of can you just acknowledge it? Maybe it was a D-bag right there, something like that. The most dangerous version of this is people talking down about themselves. Why bother? I'm just gonna fail. Or I'm an ugly person. Or I'm a stupid person. Or I'm all these things. Self-defeating prophecies that fulfill themselves. The way to put it, whatever the right wording of that. A self-fulfilling prophecy of self-defeat. There we go. You keep saying you're ugly, or you keep saying you're not going to succeed. You keep saying all these things. So when it happens, when you don't succeed, you were right. When, if you say you're ugly enough, people just don't want to deal with you. And so you isolate yourself. And by doing that, well, then you just think it's because you're ugly. Or maybe something else. I've seen so many extremely attractive people say they're ugly over and over and over and over and over again. And it is extremely vexing. It is very vexing to see beautiful people not like themselves. But on the other side of it is understanding that, look at this. There's attractive people who don't think they're pretty. And then there's people who are, maybe they're not as attractive and they don't feel so great. But like, people who are pretty don't think they're pretty either. Also, people who are pretty, there's a lot of people who don't think they're pretty either. It's all subjective in that way as well. It becomes a big web of just different things. One of the buttons for me are the people who joke about suicide. And I'm sure I did it in high school. I think I probably joked about it. Yeah, I joked about it. I did. I know. I remember the joke now. I remember the joke I made. I remember it now. That was effed up considering what I did later in life. It's important our mindset on things and the words we say. And this is a thing that I'm going to so many places. I'm a stickler on is the belief that words are just words. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. To an extent, because words are, what am I doing right now? Words. I'm conveying ideas, I'm conveying thoughts. What happens when Martin Luther King gave his speech? That was inspiring, made people want to move. Words are incredibly powerful in this world. Words have a lot of weight and a lot of strength to them. But on the smaller scale, yes. On the smaller scale, you got Eleanor Roosevelt, where the things people say to me, they only hurt me if I let them hurt me. And that's true when it comes to the smaller scale. But on the larger scale, or on the scale of if you have people just keep, like, back to the thin skin, 1,000 times the same thing is going to get through any skin. And you're going to look like you're thin skinned to the one person, when it was 1,000 before them who did it. And that goes back to just things being relative, because it's their view of the situation, and them not understanding it. And maybe that's what I'm arguing for, is trying to understand more, while also, I know you have to do what you can for your self-care, for your health, but I worry about both directions. One is being too much of trying to understand things, and to the point that it hurts you, but also running away from it so much that you're not actually progressing as a person. Because you see arguments that make no damn sense to you, but makes a lot of sense to them. And it's because they're insane. Yeah, actually, honestly, sometimes they're just insane. There are times when the argument makes sense if you can find the steps towards it. A lot of what I do, apparently. But sometimes they're just insane. Like a more recent one is Netflix, like, hey, we got a new show. And then people are like, oh, great, that's cool. Why the hell is my show canceled? Where's season 2 of my show? I was like, those don't have to do with each other. Another example can be back to Smite. Smite is, oh, that's some great balancing there, or I hate your balance, but anyway, why haven't you fixed these servers yet? Why haven't you done this or that? No, not to the company, but to the balance people. The balance people obviously are not the server people. Now, if you say that to Hi-Rez themselves, then yeah, why they were dealing with that. This is, of course, referencing back to Smite. That's for any game where you have an issue with one thing and you criticize them for that, to the people who are doing that thing who have nothing to do with the other thing. You can go to the company itself, but when you go to the people themselves, like, what are they supposed to do exactly? I have sporadically leapfrogged a lot of things in this talk this time. So how can I wrap this up? I think it's important to grow as a person. It's very much important to grow as a person. And that's because it's a way to find balance. It's a way to try to improve. And we make a lot of excuses, or we have valid reasons as well. But we have a ton of excuses as to why we do not improve. We really do. And I know for myself, I'll use myself for an example. My reasonings for why I don't work out as much as I could. Sometimes I use the channel as an excuse, or I use the fact I haven't drawn enough excuse, or I just forgot as an excuse. Like, I go to the gym Monday, Wednesday, sometimes Friday. But Tuesday and Thursday, there's points where I could be doing a little bit more exercise. And the weekends as well. I use the channel as an excuse for, like, well, I gotta work on all this stuff, so I don't really have the time to do all these things. But at the same time, I will go ahead and say, well, I got all this gym and other things I need to do, so I don't have time to do the rapid fire. I don't have the time to research this game. So I'm hurting myself in both directions here. Because, yeah, I'm getting burnt out on indies because there's so many disappointing ones, and it's very unfortunate. And so I'm going this cycle of just using excuses on top of other excuses, and they're in conflict, and yet I'm justifying it to myself. And I'm recognizing that recently, that I'm using a lot of excuses for things like that. There's valid excuses that I can have for certain things. One is I'm developing plantar fasciitis. That is making it harder to be on my feet, so what should I be doing? I should be finding exercises I can do that don't require my feet. And they exist. Like, I'm going to go swim after this vlog. That is the thing I can do. The weather's warmer now, so I can definitely go swim. There were other things I could have done before that, though. Like, I could do the battle ropes. You still have to stand, but you don't have to move your feet all that much in that. Just stand there, do the battle ropes. There's also, of course, more with the hand bikes. There's the hand bike thing or whatever that is. There's rowing, doesn't need too much of the feet either. It uses more of the legs. There's also just aerobic exercises I could do, like laying down or more hand work instead of relying on my feet. There's a lot of things I can do, and I recognize it and I realize that I should be doing. And that can be said for other things in life. Just looking at the different angles of your excuses and what you could actually do around those excuses. Procrastinating is a thing we all do very well, especially now with apps and so many things we can watch or read. We have a lot of things that can sidetrack us, and I definitely get sidetracked quite easily, especially by Twitter. For damn sure, we know that. I've complained about that before. What I'm saying is we can do better. That's always probably the center of a lot of things, is we could do better, and we can be better. And of course, we should try to take care of ourselves as well. We shouldn't run ourselves into the ground. I know I've been running myself into the ground over a lot of things, especially the channel. I've stressed a lot about the channel. I've burnt myself a lot of times with the channel because I just keep trying to hit the grindstone to make it successful. And that's potentially just harming us at the same time. So at the center of it all, it is improvement isn't easy. And sometimes it is harrowing. Not easy. I didn't want to say not easy again. It takes effort. It takes work. Of course it does. That's why it is what it is. That's why working out's called working out. And improvement is just always a difficult thing to do, but there are ways to do it, and you can always take little steps towards it. But I think an important thing to actually making progress as a person is probably trying to cut out some of the excuses, some of the BS we do, some of the BS we tell ourselves. And sometimes the BS other people are telling us as well. And that's something I didn't touch on. I talked about more of the inside, but there's also people who are, you could be in an abusive relationship, like parents, family, friends. You could have toxic people who are putting you down and making you believe the BS that they're telling you. That can be a situation as well. And some of them you can get away from, some of them you cannot get away from. It's a big mess, obviously. The world is a big mess of things, of different factors, different ideas, different ways things go. And I'm trying to make sense of it all. And obviously I ain't going to make sense of it all right now. Especially with this mess of a thing. Like, anyone who cuts out early, they're like, what the hell was that mess? Even when you get to the end, at least it kind of maybe makes a little bit more sense because you got to the end of the journey with me on this thought. But I'm basically rambling on. So we'll cut off here. Essentially, just improvement's not easy, but there are ways we can do better, and I think it requires a little more thought. And there's a lot of different things, like mentally, spiritually, just talking to people. I think we're all way too quick to cutting each other off. We're all too quick to trying to win by having the funny comment, or to just point out this something dumb in something without actually trying to grow the conversation. I really think a lot of us are guilty of that. And the problem is not all of us are interested in trying to grow, and that makes it a worthless conversation, and it happens very often. This is why, for the most part, I only debate with Jinx, and luckily she and I have very different ideas on things, so we debate quite a bit. But with strangers, I just can't be as invested as I'd like to be, but there are times when you see strangers actually debate, and it's a magical thing. But I wish it was more common. So there you go, that right there is the vlog. That's an interesting talk there. Yeah, we'll see what next week's talk is, and those are going to be at My Hero Academia. See you there, and all the other streams and such. I had fun talking, hope you had fun watching and listening, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? Having fun. Thanks for coming by, and see you next time.